podcast is powered by monkeyknifefight.com.
Woo! We getting our fantasy football fitness on this one.
We make plays
Physically
every day,
fit on this one.
We make plays every day.
Hey,
We make plays
from the
every
Bay
day.
to Connecticut on this one.
We make plays every day. We make plays every day.
Every day.
We make plays every day.
We making plays.
We make plays every day.
Hey,
We make plays every day.
welcome to the Real Fantasy Playmakers. I am your host, Bogart Scott-Free, and I'm really fucking excited about this one, Playmakers. You know what I'm saying? I bring to you our special guest host for the evening. You know what I'm saying? Phenomenal content. You know what I'm saying? He's one of the guys I love his perspective on fantasy. And you know what I'm saying? We all, you know, fantasy football is subjective. We all have different opinions, but he's one of the opinions that I actually value. Like, you know, I pay attention real close to his content because of that, what I just stated. You know what I'm saying? He's my man who I'm calling Fit. Can I call you Fit for short?
That's perfect.
Yeah, it's my man from Fantasy Football Fit. Hey, how you doing, Fit?
Thanks, man. I appreciate you for having me on. Fantasy Football Fit, first time being on here, but I appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
Just love your content, man. So thanks for having me.
Man, appreciate you, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, my channel and this show, or even just my channel in general, like, you know, I love being a hub for people to, you know, perhaps discover other content creators through me. You know what I mean? And I saw, you know, like a scout, I like to call myself. You know, I always scout people's work for a while, and you know, people that I really enjoy their content, and then that's the ones I bring on. I don't just bring on anybody. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, you can attest to this too, because you know what I'm saying, we've had interactions for months on months now, and like, you know, we finally made it happen. Yeah. Okay. Well, check this out. We're gonna Playmakers, in this show, we're gonna go ahead and talk about some overdrafted guys, some undervalued guys. We're also gonna touch on strength of schedule and, you know, players we should target from certain teams, and even you know, maybe some players we got to be cautious about because of, you know, strength of schedule. It could be like, you know, really bad. You know what I mean? Like a bad schedule type shit. But anyways, before we get to all that, we're gonna go ahead and handle some quick housekeeping. Follow me at the GMM Network on both Twitter and IG. Go ahead and follow me at Bogart Scott Free World as well on IG. And make sure you subscribe to the GMM Network on YouTube. Hit that notification bell, you know what I'm saying? Go drop a comment, a like, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Also want to make sure you guys subscribe to the Rum Boys Fantasy Network. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the gang, you know what I mean? I'm a proud member of the Rum Boys staff. You know what I'm saying? Also check us out at rumboys.com, where you're going to find all our latest and greatest articles on every single sport you could think of. We got a professional, you know, where they're the authority of whether it's fight sports or football, baseball, basketball, hockey, etc. Man, we got it all. Check out rumboys.com for all the fresh articles. You know what I'm saying? Also, go ahead and click that pirate ship and get you some apparel, you know, some fresh drippy swag for the summer. You know what I mean? Also, want to shout out our sponsor, Milk and Honey TX, for all your CBD wellness and all your CBD goodness. Visit milkandhoneytx.com. And you heard it, Playmakers, right here in the intro. This podcast is powered by Monkey Knife Fight. Go head on over to Monkey Knife Fight. Use promo code GMM and we'll match your first deposit all the way up to $50. Go get on this prop action. Matter of fact, you're not gonna hear this probably until it's too late. But there is UFC popping. You know what I'm saying? We got baseball and basketball coming back around the corner. Football's, you know, a little further away, but you know that's coming back too. You're gonna want to get on this daily fantasy sports action. Go on monkeyknifefight.com, use promo code GMM, and we'll match your first deposit all the way up to $50. Monkey Knife Fight, give me money. Hey, Fit, let them know where they can find you, my brother.
Hey, so in my fantasy football, Instagram is going to be Fantasy Football Fit, and then for any type of just fitness or anything like that, it's going to be Kenny King Fitness. So follow me on either of those channels. Yeah,
and I'll be sure to link all the links in the description of this episode for all the Playmakers to be sure they can find you. Okay, yeah, man, let's get right to it. So, Fit, go on and let us know a little bit about yourself. and where you're from, and essentially like the origin story of you becoming a fantasy football content creator.
Okay. So I'm originally from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Shout out to the port. I actually came to Virginia just for college, Virginia State University. After 4 years, I just stayed in the area, so that's why I'm in Virginia right now. But I'm definitely originally from Connecticut, so Bridgeport. When it comes to fantasy football, it's crazy because mainly the corona is the reason why I started my Instagram. So those who don't know, I do work a normal 9 to 5. I work in IT. But on the side, I'm big in fitness. That's why you get the name Fantasy Football Fit.
Yeah.
Fitness is important. I always try to, help other people reach their fitness goals. So while working my IT job, on the side, I was doing personal training, running the boot camp, and that as well. So just like a lot of businesses, the corona pretty much shut down everything. So at the time, I just had a lot of free time in the morning and in the evening. I always wanted to start a fantasy football page in the past, but I just never had that free time. So Corona kind of just freed that up for me. So
hey man, you know what? You're not the only content creator that has came my way and has a similar origin story, because it's been like 5 months, maybe, or not 5 months, since February, I want to say, when right? And like, the cliche saying is, look, if the world's going to give us lemons, we're going to go ahead and make some lemonade. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I feel you, because literally, I train people out of my apartment gym, so I think the beginning of March is when the apartment gym, they shut it down, we can't use it. So this gave me a lot of free time, and then that's when like I said, in the past, I played fantasy football roughly over 9 years, so I have a lot of experience. And when I was playing in certain leagues, I always had a lot of people that would ask me suggestions, who should I start? And I would always provide tips, I was always a go-to person.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, I always wanted to start it, so I was like, this is the best time, I have a lot of free time. And I'm working from home with my IT job, so I can definitely go ahead and get it started. But shout out to you, man, because literally you were like the first person that when I posted that reached out and said, you like my content, and it gave me confidence. I knew I was pretty good with my posts, but I definitely appreciate you a lot.
No problem. I tend to call a spade. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna. You know what I mean? Like your shit is dope, so I'm like, yo, you're dope, man. Keep it up. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have guessed that you were actually a fairly newer page. You know what I mean? Because you're very knowledgeable. I mean, I guess it does come from 9 years of being engaged in fantasy football. So you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, man, really awesome content. That's why I was like, and I know during the corona, at one point when it opened back up for you guys out that way, and you're like, yo, bro, I'm getting back to my personal training, so we'll find time, and what I mean. And then you actually reach back out at one point, and you're like, yo, I'm good on the weekends, and I'm like, okay, perfect, because I usually reserve Saturdays for like Saturday, because I work round the clock. You know what I mean?
I bet you do.
But yeah, and like Saturdays are anyone because I work remotely too. Like I've always made my own job. Whether it was a studio or like or in this case, doing the podcast. I'm always all in on stuff. So Saturdays are usually like my day where I could chill. But I was like, when you said Saturday, I was like perfect, because I never schedule anything on Saturdays. So I was like, because I'll go above and beyond for people's availability. You know what I mean? Like that's. Yeah, like I'm not trying to act like I'm any kind of somebody. Like, listen, these are the times you with it or not. Like, no, I'm flexible when it comes to to other people's time, because I mean I'm always considerate of other people's time. I mean the fact that you made time to do the show, like I appreciate that in itself. So I never take people for granted or anything like that, man. I'm actually, you kind of inspired me right now, just knowing that you've only been doing this for a little bit amount of a time, because I've only go back since September. You know what I mean? So I started back in September. So yeah, and so it's like, man, it kind of inspires me, man. You've been able to accomplish a lot in a small period of time.
Yeah, man. I mean, luckily, like I said, with you and some other people that really like my content, really have shared my stuff. So I just been, like I said, I'm just thankful to continue to move forward, and you guys have definitely helped. So when you definitely reached out, I was gonna definitely find a time. I was just figuring out which worked best with the schedule and everything. So.
Oh yeah. Okay, so now let's let's go ahead and get to this good fantasyism. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, it's kind of a cheat code because I do follow your page where I am kind of aware of some of these like the questions that I was fully aware that you've covered a ton of this stuff already. So it'd be easy for you to elaborate because I actually love your takes on some of these questions. So let's start with the first one. On your page, you did mention about some overdrafted players that you want to be wary of, and let's go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and start at the running back position. Go ahead and let me know a player that you believe in 2020 is definitely overdrafted.
So I feel like right now, Aaron Jones is probably one of the top players that I have. That's drafted. His ADP right now is at 206. So that's pretty much right after the first round, going to the beginning of the second.
Oh yeah.
So I'm definitely worried about him only because last year he scored a ton of touchdowns. Right, he had 16 touchdowns. That's not going to replicate into this upcoming season. And then one big thing is the Green Bay offense, their coaching staff really doesn't care about who's playing. They want to share the load 50-50.
Yeah.
So
Matt LaFleur is kind of. Yeah, Matt LaFleur's kind of a dickhead like that. I mean, even his time in Tennessee, he was just like, yo, feed Derrick Henry, but he kept getting Deion Lewis involved and like. Yeah. Okay. Continue.
And he said at the beginning of the season last year, he was just like, that's my motto. That's what I'm always going to do. So for all the running backs that's going roughly before him or right after him, these are all running backs that get the full workload. So I would rather, go after, they also drafted A.J. Dillon, pretty much a decent high draft pick. So I would rather go after someone later if I know that any running back that's going to be with Aaron Rodgers is going to be good. So it gets to the red zone. So I'd rather go with A.J. Dillon or, if they keep Jamal Williams on the team, I'd rather draft them a lot later. That's going to get almost the same workload as Aaron Jones and do well. And one thing a lot of people don't realize with Aaron Jones is he's not that good. He's not a big back, so he's not that good about pass blocking. So
yeah, and Jamal Williams is graded high as a pass protector.
He's really good.
Yeah.
So if you've seen a lot of games when the Green Bay got down, they went to Jamal Williams because clearly Aaron Rodgers has a job back. And then if the Green Bay Packers is up, which is not not typical. The secondary is not the best, so they have to
try to control time of possession too.
Yeah.
So and like you said, Aaron Jones, he does have a history also of being injured. So, and they're fully aware of that. So they don't give him 20 carries a game. And at the same time, as something about Aaron Jones that people don't realize is, he got a spike in production those 3 weeks that Jamal Williams was out. You know what I mean? And people.
That is true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And because he really only averaged like 13 carries a game. You know what I mean? And so you had to, and I will say this, extremely efficient with the limited touches that he got.
He's a great running back. If they would have given him the full workload, I would take him easily in the first round.
For sure.
I would worry, but they're not giving him that much workload. It's a different coach's team. If he was the Vikings head coach or someone else, then I would definitely love, going with him and playing. But it's just, like I said, it's nothing regards. There's no knock on Aaron Jones. It's just the coaching staff, the coaching scheme. So that's the only reason why I'm looking at, him as someone I'm just looking to pass.
Yeah, bro. And okay, so I got one more thing to add too about A.J. Dillon. Like, when these rookies are gonna start off slow, but he will get acclimated eventually. And like he comps to Derrick Henry, like size wise.
He's a big
so
back.
he's immediately too. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's why I comp him to Derrick Henry, and it's no coincidence that Matt LaFleur would look at a guy like that because he did have Derrick Henry at one point.
Oh, that is true. That is true.
And I would say, like, don't be surprised, playmakers, if you see this kid A.J. Dillon start vulturing a bunch of goal line touches from Aaron Jones, and like we don't like that. So I mean, and efficiency already is something hard to replicate. Like, you know what I mean? Like I would say the only person in the league I feel that really can repeat efficiency is like Russell Wilson, because he's just amazing. Like,
yeah, he's just amazing.
Yeah, like on a low pass,
the ball like 15 times.
And he throws 4 touchdowns. For real. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so I got one for you, running back, Austin Eckler, man. I think he's being overdrafted. You know what I mean? People are, they're excited about him this year, because he got paid. He's the guy. But he's on that 1-2 turnaround, you know what I mean? Like he goes like, 201, 202 type. You know, he's in that range, and like, you know, people they look at his last year's stats and like he damn near had 1,000 yards through the air. He only had like 500 rushing, but you know Melvin Gordon was there, so people were like, oh, now he's gonna get the full load. You know, Anthony Lynn, he's one of those coaches too. You know, former running back himself. You know, running back coach as well. Like he always keeps a stable of backs, and like there is. It's not an extreme timeshare, but there is still a timeshare. So even if it is 70-30, and we like that for Austin Eckler, but here's the thing with Austin Eckler's receptions. It was with Phillip Rivers, and Phillip Rivers had one of the quickest, he had one of the quickest releases. You know what I mean? Like him and Tom Brady, because they both had bad lines for years, where all that pressure's coming through, they gotta get rid of it fast. I mean, like you know, I've said this joke a number of times, but Phillip Rivers, he definitely has 8 kids because he has one of the quickest releases. You know what I'm saying? But bro, like when that pressure's coming through for Tyrod Taylor, I mean, he got weak. I mean, they call him T-Mobile for a reason. Like, you know, he's gonna. He might run more than, you know, in those situations than, you know, because obviously Phillip Rivers was a statue in the pocket. You know what I mean? But you know, so that's the one thing I'm wary about, because. And then they also got Josh Kelly, and they still got Justin Jackson. Like, you know, because Austin Eckler, here's the thing what I will say about Austin Eckler. They use him in every facet, so that's great.
That's the only reason why I'm not worried about taking him super high, because they use him. But the one thing I'm worried about too is how quick do they move on from Tyrod? Because if they go on to the next quarterback, then I'm more worried, because we don't know what he can do. Like, I agree. Phillip Rivers, he's a check down passing machine. That's why I kind of like what's the check down
Nyheim
passing?
Hines.
Yeah, Nyheim Hines. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I like that. I like that fit. That's a good call, Fit.
I like him a lot, because he's he's someone that a lot of people know about. But I feel like with Eckler, if they're going to use him all over the field like they did last year, then I feel like he'll be okay. In PPR and standard leagues, I'm a little nervous because he might not get as many touchdowns.
And let's be real, Fit. I know me and you are in agreement. All the playmakers, if you're out there and you're not playing PPR, reconsider your fantasy life.
Oh yes,
please. This is a PPR show. Yeah, that's the player pool is extremely vast compared to like standard. You know what I mean? Like we're not looking at Nyheim Hines in standard. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But okay, so go ahead and hit me with another one. Let's go receiver. What's the receiver you feel is being overdrafted?
So for receiver, I got Mike Evans. He's going.
Oh, I love that call. I'm totally on board with that. Go ahead, continue.
He's going super high. He's going 302 right now. So a lot of people don't realize that he's going before receivers like DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp. We're going before Robert Woods. But a lot of people don't realize the reason why, like what Winston did last year is pretty much not doable again this year, in my opinion. He had 2 wide receiver ones on his team.
And because he was also the president. Yeah, I was about to say, and he's on top of that, he's the president of the Pick Six Club. So it's like he was in holes all day. You know what I'm saying? And like if someone like Tom Brady's going to be able to sustain drives, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like he had 30 interceptions last year. If you take Tom Brady's last 3 seasons, he still didn't amount to 30 interceptions. So Tom Brady's usually he's going to throw about maybe 8 to 10 interceptions. So it's not going to be as many shootouts. So it's not going to be as many points. Now I'm not worried at all about Godwin, because Tom Brady he's always been the type of person that targeted the slot receiver. You know, you got Edelman, Wes Welker, so you're not worried about him. But Tom Brady, the only time he has had pretty much supported 2 wide receiver ones was back in 2008. That's when he had
Welker and Randy Moss.
Welker and Gronkowski. And after that, yes, when Moss was there, Moss went crazy, but he had. That was years and years ago. So I wouldn't take Mike Evans that high. I would say that, like I said, they're not going to be scoring as many points. Their defense, I feel, is going to be a lot better this year compared to last year.
They had the number 1 run defense last season, and their secondary was bad. And I think it had a lot to do with Jameis Winston, getting them bad field position. You throw a pick, it goes all the way down to the goddamn red zone, and then they throw a touchdown, and it fucks the secondary's numbers up. So I will say, the arrow is pointing up with somebody, because listen, they had the leading sack rusher last year. If you have someone like Tom Brady who can get your defense to play with a lead, they're going to be able to play the Todd Bowles type of defense. His type of scheme is send pressure. A lot of pressure a lot of pressure on the opposing QBs. So your secondary doesn't necessarily need to be shut down because they're going to get a lot of contested balls thrown their way. But and
their defensive line is amazing.
Oh yeah, that front seven is nasty, bro. And I will say this too with Mike Evans, he is a gigantic man. Like he's obviously a red zone target, but when you bring in guys like Gronk or or you already have OJ Howard. Those red zone targets, you know what I mean? And here's the thing too. Yes, Mike Evans had, consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, in his career, like his whole entire career. But he did it on the back of averaging 150 targets or 140 targets, and his catch percentage is pretty poor. So he needed all those targets because he's not efficient. He kind of has bad hands. And then also you throw in the fact that coming off that significant hamstring, was it a torn hamstring or was it just a tweaked hamstring?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure it was torn or not, but it was definitely a significant injury because he missed the last two games of the season.
Yeah, they shut him. Yeah, they shut him down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I should have looked into that more. But either way, I'm 100% on board with you. I'd rather take Chris Godwin. He's probably the only one I'm looking at. And and here's one thing that I do want to point out about Chris Godwin. He has God and win in his name.
Chris Godwin, he should be fine. I think Tom Brady's always did good with the slot receiver. And like I said, Gronk is going to get his targets too, so it's going to be hard. They didn't take Gronk didn't go out, didn't come out of retirement not to play. He's going to get his target. So I feel
he's also a phenomenal blocker, so he's gonna be on the field in all those goal line packages, no matter what, because whether he's blocking or he's there to be a target. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that definitely, they're gonna be fun to watch, though. You know what I mean? I am excited to see the Bucs this year. But yeah, so I got one for you. You actually mentioned his name, Cooper Kupp. I think Cooper Kupp's being overdrafted, and here's why. First of all, I love him as a talent. Great hands, great route running, but he really shines as a slot receiver. When Tyler Higbee last year started bubbling, right? Remember he started really doing his thing.
It was 5-game streak where he had 10 plus targets.
Oh yeah, he was averaging 12 targets a game. And here's the thing, their line was so bad that they were and Sean McVay, he is a genius as an offensive guru. You know what I mean? He was like, you know what, we're gonna switch to 12 personnel. So they started playing a ton more 12 personnel because they needed help to block. And then, obviously I can go back and I remember Sean McVay in Washington when they ran a ton of 12 personnel, it was Jordan Reed who was eating a lot. But see, here's the point is that it takes, when they run 12 personnel, it takes Cooper Kupp out of the slot and it pushes him out wide. And he's not great against real coverage, number one, outside cornerbacks. They, if you get him on an island, it's all bad. His numbers show it. You know what I mean? Remember he had that 200-yard outing against the Bengals. Then the next week, the Rams played the Steelers, and then, you got even though he's older, you got Joe Hayden on him, and Joe Hayden shut him down. He had 0 catches. You know what I mean? And it's and Joe Hayden's he was one of the top corners 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
They got some other corners in the Steelers that's higher rated than Joe Hayden right now. So.
Yeah, and I just remember that game. Joe Hayden was working him. It was just wow. And you know what I mean? Even Joe Hayden's old ass. You know what I mean? But still. So I mean, how you feel about that? You think I'm too crazy? Because I love Cooper Kupp.
Like I said, I think he's a great talent. I think he's going roughly in the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah.
If you look at him more, if you have him as a wide receiver 1, I would be worried. I wouldn't want him as a wide receiver 1. Good point. As a wide receiver 2, I wouldn't mind taking him there. I think Woods was the one that I look more as a wide receiver 1. You see, just like you mentioned last year, he's the one that kind of got that majority of that work.
Yeah.
But Cooper Kupp, you just see the end of the season, the last 5 to 6 games, they really pushed his beat to get a lot more work, and Cooper Kupp didn't get as much target. And he didn't get as much playing time. His playing time dropped to 60%.
Yeah,
at the last couple of games of the season. So.
And I wonder if
it's not like they didn't cut them out. They needed those games to get into the playoffs, so they had a formula and they went forward with that. So we'll see how they start the beginning of the year. The offensive line didn't really improve as much. I think they're still pretty much the same boat. So we'll see.
Yeah, and even just thinking about it right now, maybe coming off the ACL, maybe it started to wear on him. You know what I mean? Towards
That's true.
towards the middle of the season. Yeah, I actually just thought of that right now. So maybe I shouldn't just totally write off Cooper Kupp this year. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I mean, like I said, wide receiver 2, I'm fine with him. Wide receiver 1, I'm a little more worried because we don't know what kind of offense they're going to do beginning of 2020. You know, they might go back to Tyler Hibbert getting majority of the targets. If they do that, then Kupp is not going to be as good. That's why I say I think Woods is a safer.
Oh yeah, I love Bobby Woods. I'm a Bobby Woods truther. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah. Okay, so let's go with some tight ends. What you got for me?
So for a tight end, I feel like one person that's being overdrafted is going to be the Browns tight end.
Austin Hooper.
Hooper.
100% agree. Continue.
He's going super high right now, and a lot of people are drafting him based on last year. They're like, he was with the Falcons, he was getting a ton of targets. But remember, he's with the Browns now. That's completely different offense. They already got two. They got two players that's going to get majority of targets. Odell's going to get. He led the team last year, and Landry was right behind.
Oh yeah.
Right behind Odell.
Yeah, they both had over 100 targets. I think Odell had 130, something like that.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, even with Baker Mayfield, I'm a little nervous with him. Like, can he support, a 3, top players? I don't think he can. I feel like the coaching staff is going to put Baker more of like a game manager. They want to run the ball a lot more. They got a new coaching scheme. Play defense. I don't think they're going to be throwing the ball a ton because last year we seen Baker, he did turn over the ball a lot. It was the offensive line was not the best last year. They made some moves, but I still feel like he's not going to be the best. And they still kept what's the one back? What's the other tight end that wanted to?
David Njoku. They kept it.
Yeah. He's still there. They didn't trade him yet. Hopefully they do, but if they don't. They want to use him.
It is Kevin Stefanski there, and he, coming from the Vikings, like when you look at his time with the Vikings, they did run a ton of 12 personnel, so they need David Njoku. So you know what I mean? Like now you got to worry about being an Austin Hooper owner like that. There's another tight end on the field same time as him. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And here's the thing too is like coming from Atlanta where he was in a Dirk Cutter system, and Dirk Cutter's system, like the tight end position, they demand like 17% of the target market share. So so it's like that's why I'm actually really big on Hayden Hurst this season. You know what I mean?
Oh yes, Hayden Hurst is check the box, give him the ball. Because also with Hayden Hurst, a lot of people don't realize Mohamed Sanu's gone, and also like I said, the cornerback just went to the Browns. He's gone, so there's a ton of open targets that's there.
Oh yeah.
And Hurst, he's going late. I think he's going roughly in like the 10th round. So
and you know what too? Like in the industry's getting like bigger on him. He's been moving up, man. Like I've seen him going like because
people have been realizing that he's a steal. So hopefully he doesn't go up too high.
I know, right?
I like his value.
Let's stop talking about him so they don't. So we'll keep him a secret. You feel me? Okay. All right. Well, I got one for you. I want to say Darren Waller is being.
Oh yes.
I mean, not only did Darren Waller. First of all, he was positively affected, or he benefited. There you go. He benefited from the fact that there was like no weapons there.
And then the top wide receiver got hurt last year too.
Tyrell the Gazelle. Oh yeah.
Yep. So they had no one there.
Yeah, and here's another thing too. When they are on the goal line, they run a lot of 12 personnel. A lot of in there as their base package down there at the goal line. So Darren Waller got a lot of touchdowns snaked away from him from like Moreau or whatever his name is. Like, and now bro. And like now you go ahead and you bring in someone like Jason Witten, and then you draft a ton of new weapons, like 3 legit weapons.
A lot of wide receivers.
Yeah, so I'm off Darren Waller in that sense. I think he's being overdrafted.
He's too high. I think he's going to like roughly like the 6th round.
And see, you would think that's value. Like, that's really value, but I just don't see the target market share being as high as it was last year.
No, I mean, like I said, just like you mentioned earlier, he was their number 1 option on the team. That was it.
Yeah.
Tyrell Williams was, this is the first time he ever was the wide receiver 1 on his team, so he got the number 1 corner. So, he wasn't getting that many targets, and then Waller was the best other option. So,
and
I think this year it's going to be different.
And I'm also personally, I can't stand him. I lost 2 Super Bowls last year, and those teams and both had Waller. God damn it.
Oh, no. Yeah, Waller was great last
He
year.
was.
But people don't realize with Waller, they got him for free last year. He was literally like a waiver wire pickup.
Yeah, or if you were, yeah, or if you were smart, like bro, like I had a ton of Mark Andrews and Darren Waller because I was just like, I'm gonna wait on tight end. I'm gonna get one of these 2 guys. And in some leagues, I got both of them in some leagues just to see, you know what I mean, like to see how who pans out. That I'm doing that a lot this year with like Hayden Hurst and like Jonnu Smith. Like I will draft 2 tight ends just to see which one works. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, because tight end is also one of the positions that if you could diagnose it, you know, correctly and not have to reach early on these guys. Like, I'm a 49er fan. I love George Kittle, but I'm like, dude, I can't pay a second-round draft capital
he's
for him.
High.
He's worth it. He's worth it, but then also, I mean, like, I'd rather have a running back there, or I'd rather have a receiver there, like, you know, like, because there's a ton of late round tight ends I'm big on, so that also helps.
I agree. I wouldn't spend that high of a draft capital on that. If you were in like a 10-team league or something that's really small,
that's
I can see high, you know, spending high. But if you're in a 12-team league or more, you need to, you know, wait and get a tight end late. There's some great tight ends late that you can get, you know, pretty much free.
Okay, so let's go on to QB. Who's the QB you think's being overdrafted right now?
So, honestly, all the big names, in my opinion, are being overdrafted.
Yeah, very true.
Like, you know, you have, like, the Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. They're all going in the beginning of the second round.
Yeah,
now,
that's nuts.
Like I mentioned before, if you're in a 10-team league, okay, I can see you reaching for a quarterback. Because in those leagues, you know, everyone's going to have everyone's going to have a great team in a 10-team league. You know, you want
That's true.
you know, at the end of the day, you want a high-end quarterback to kind of have to bridge that gap and make your team a lot better. But if it's a 12-team league, both of these players, remember last year with Lamar Jackson, he was drafted extremely late. Some people got him off, you know, really late in drafts. You know, so a lot of people didn't have to pay at all for him. Now you're taking him in the second round. I still think he finishes first. However, you know, at the end of the day, if you draft him this year, running backs it's not that many high-end running backs this year. So at second round, I'd rather go after running back and then go and get a quarterback late.
I think running. I actually just this episode will be available by the time the Playmakers hear this. But I just did an episode all about draft strategy and like because of this year, and running back heavy is something that like I promote this year because there's so much value at receiver. You know what I mean?
Yes, this is late.
Yeah, bro, and like I've been finding myself going running back, even. You know what I mean? And like targeting the T.Y. Hiltons of the world, the Allen Robinsons, the Robert Woods. You know what I mean?
You can get.
Yeah.
I agree. I like I said, I'm a big running back player. Like I said, if you're in a custom league where you have like, you know, you have 3 wide receivers and 1 running back, clearly you're going to make some adjustments. But
for sure.
I wouldn't recommend at all going after Lamar Jackson. I think he's going to still finish number 1, but number 1 that you're playing a high draft capital for, I'd rather get someone else that can still finish in the top 12, but it's going to be a lot cheaper. You know, a lot of people don't realize. Matthew Stafford last year, he was pretty much top 5.
He was pacing to be a top 3 for sure. He would have, if he 16 game pace, he would have finished top 3 for sure.
Yeah, and he's going in like the 10th round now, so that's someone I'd rather get instead.
I like that. I like you know who. If I can't get Matt Ryan, I find myself
Matt Ryan.
Yeah, I find myself ending up with a you know that's kind of a spoiler alert because I'm actually going to highlight him in this next segment. But yeah, so I'll give you one too. Actually, I'll kind of backpack your take on this one. A lot of the top end quarterbacks are definitely overdrafted. Even Lamar, and I do want to highlight Lamar Jackson just a little bit because his efficiency was through the roof. Like, and we're not going to. Yeah, like I mean, only 3,200 passing yards, 30 something touchdowns, like. You know, and then all the rushing numbers, obviously. But so he was essentially like an RB, a high-end RB2 built into a quarterback.
He's running for 100 yards, a game, and like a rushing touchdown, something crazy. Like his floor was extremely high. His floor was like 15 to 20 points. So that's like amazing for a quarterback.
And I do.
But I feel like.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying that I feel like teams are going to be more adapted to his play now. They got a year of tape. Now they're going to be adjusted. You see all the Titans, how they played them. I feel like a lot of teams are going to adjust to that now. Yeah. They're going to be aware.
like I said, I'm a Niner fan, so I remember Greg Roman with us, and like, we had, Darren Waller. I mean, not Darren Waller. We had what's his name? Walker. We had damn, what is his name from he was at Tennessee for a while. But anyway, they had Walker. They had Vernon Davis. Like, what I mean, that system. Yeah, and it's like if you take that away, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, is Marquise Brown really going to take that step that we hope he is? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, he's what, like 165 pounds soaking wet. So it's like he's really a burner. Yeah, he's a great route runner, but maybe we'll see more Lamar Jackson as a passer this year because those rushing numbers are definitely going to come down. I'll give him a floor of like 700 yards rushing, but still, I'm still not paying a second. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that's being generous. You know what I mean? But I'm not. Yeah. I'm not giving him. I'm not paying a second round draft capital when there's other quarterbacks that I feel like I could wait on. I mean, there's literally 32 starting quarterbacks for me. You know what I mean? And there's only
I agree.
Yeah, there's only 12. There's only 12 RB1s as it stands in the beginning of the year. 12 WR1s. Like I want to get one of those guys. If there's 32,
I want to get a couple because people get injured all the time.
Oh yeah, and that's how you get to the promised land, playmakers. You make sure your first 5 picks is you don't really want to dick around. You know what I mean? You don't want to. You want to go with a mixture of floor and upside players. You know what I mean? Like guys that have a solid floor and with built-in upside. You know what I mean? You don't want to go swinging for the fences. You know what I'm saying? Like, because yes, Lamar Jackson, we know Lamar Jackson is he is phenomenal. I'll be clear. I'm just saying like in drafts, I don't know if I could pay that. You know what I mean?
Not me either.
Okay, so now let's go the inverse of this first segment to players that we think are undervalued. You know what I mean? And let's keep it in chronological order. We'll go ahead with running backs.
Okay. So one person that I feel like is being slept on right now is going to be James White. He's going.
Ooh, I like that.
6th round. He's a 6th round draft pick right now. Remember, Tony Michel is still recovering from the injury. Also, now they got Cam, and you saw how he did with Chris McCaffrey last short passes. And then you have to remember last year too, James White was getting roughly 50% of the rush attempts, even with Rex Burkhead and Tony Michel being there. A lot of people assume that the Patriots defense is elite. However, they played a weak schedule at the beginning of the season. If you see when they start playing harder teams, they were not in a lot of longer games.
Good point.
So so I feel like he's going to get a ton of targets. He finished at running back 18 last year in PPR. So I feel like, honestly, in the 6th round, you can get you can easily be a running back 2 for you or higher with Cam being there. So I really like James White a lot this year.
Wow. Okay. James White I see, man, this is why I appreciate your content because I feel like great minds think alike. James White was at the top of my undervalued list. So I'll go with my number 2 guy. This is going to sound crazy as fuck, playmakers. So bear with me. Darius Geis.
I like Darius. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, people are so scorned by his injury history because, yes, he gets injured, but you got Scott Turner over there now. We've seen what Scott Turner did with Christian McCaffrey. Like the way, I'm not saying that Darius Geis is Christian McCaffrey, but I'm saying that the way they're going to.
He's a great talent, though. He's a great talent.
Oh yeah, he's a great talent, and like they're going to utilize him in every facet. They're going to move around on the field. He's going to be involved in the passing game. Adrian Peterson is a great runner, but he's not a great pass catcher by any means.
Yeah, so that's not his specialty.
Yeah, and like I want to say Darius Geis is going like last time I checked, he was like he had an 8th round draft.
Yeah, he's like an 8th or 9th round pick. So that's a steal. I mean, because clearly he is going to be the starting running back for the Redskins. They got rid of Chris Thompson; he's no longer there.
Yep.
So it's just him and Adrian Peterson. They drafted a rookie running back, but that's like later on. They just spent a high draft capital on him. So
he's a rookie too. The rookies this year, they're gonna start off extremely slow. Yeah, Oh yeah. Okay, so give me one for receiver.
So receiver, I got Jameis Crowder. I think he's going super late in drafts too. Jameson Crowder, his ADP right now is in the back of the 10th round. A lot of people don't realize last year the problem is he finished as wide receiver 26, but remember Darnold, his quarterback, he missed the first 5 weeks due to the catching mono. So from week 6 to 16, he was the wide receiver 19. So he's easy.
Wow, I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, he is a PPR machine.
Yeah, so he plays in the slot, so he doesn't have to worry about getting the top covers, the top corners that come to the slot. So, and then remember, Robbie Anderson is no longer there either.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you know, they have a lot of open targets. So I mean, I really like him. You know, he's going in the 10th. You know, if you
And
can,
they brought in Denzel Perryman, or no, Brashad Perryman. Yeah, and then they also drafted Denzel Mims. Yeah, they drafted Denzel Mims. So you know, there is going to be, and they're good enough to take away coverage. So you know what I mean? Like you said, like he's going to be in that slot. He's probably going to be like exclusively in the slot. And we, man, having him as a flex or even like a third, your fourth receiver. Yeah. You're not mad at that. He's, you know what I mean? Okay, here. So mine's kind of similar. It's another slot guy, Anthony Miller. I think people.
Ooh, yeah, Anthony Miller. I forgot about him. He's good.
Yeah, because I mean, we've seen his first 2 years. He flashed a ton, and like you remember last season, everybody was really big on D.D. Westbrook.
Yeah.
Right, and because of Nick Foles loves the slot guy, you had John DeFilippo was there from the Eagles with Nick Foles. Now he was in Jacksonville, and then everyone was excited for D.D. Westbrook. I'm using the same logic. I'm using the same logic because now Nick Foles and John DeFilippo are there. You know what I'm saying? And in Chicago, and like if you think about it, you know that slot guy always eats in that John DeFilippo system. So even going all the way back to Nelson Aguilar. Remember Nelson Aguilar? And then they even
that's true.
Right? And then they even at one point that year when Nelson Aguilar wasn't handling, they went and traded for Golden Tate, and then and Golden Tate was an immediate impact because you know that's just how it is. They love to target that slot guy. So I mean,
and also Tyler Gabriel, they got rid of him, so there's only two options on the receiving team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Gabriel's gone, and Gabriel was a guy they moved around everywhere. So you know what I'm saying, and so you know if it's just Allen Robinson. Who's predominantly an outside guy, and then and then you got another, a true outside guy, burner in Teddy Ginn, who they brought in. You know what I mean? So that slot is going to be all for Anthony Miller, and I love that in that system, and just him as a talent. You know what I mean? And I also happen to believe it's going to be Nick Foles. I'm not a.
Yeah, I agree. I think Nick Foles is going to win.
Yeah, even though I love Trubisky though, like because he's fun. Like when he gets going, he really gets going. But then when he's bad, he's really bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, I know, right? So, and I think Nick Foles is someone steady, and we've seen Nick Foles be able to support receivers in fantasy. So, you know what I mean? Give me some Nick Foles with Anthony Miller. You know what I mean? Okay.
That's a good stack. A lot of people don't realize that's a good stack because the Bears starting. They really. Our team that can, their secondary, I know we talked about this before, but their secondary has, they got some rookies this year. It might take a little while for them to get back to 100% and be really good. So they might be in a lot more games, but they're going to be more shootouts. So.
And I even heard Eddie Jackson got corona, and I'm curious to see, like, obviously he got over it, he didn't die, but I've also read a lot of stories of people having like respiratory problems after corona. You know what I mean? And it's like. I don't know. I don't want to read too deep into that, but anyways, so let's go on to tight end.
Okay. So for the tight end, I think one pick that I have as a value is going to be Jack Doyle. Ooh. He's going in the 14th round, so pretty much free in drafts. You can get him at the end of the draft. So one thing I like is Eric Ebron is gone, right? So he's a team with Pittsburgh. He's gone. The only person they got is Trey Burton there, and Trey Burton has never panned out at all, so I'm not worried at all about
Trey Burton he's a system guy because he was in that Frank Reich. He was there with Frank Reich and when Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. So I was like, it's more like, hey, come on over here, we can.
Yeah. So he never really panned out, so I'm not worried. And the next thing too with the Colts, they don't have a wide receiver too, other than Ty, and Ty gets hurt all the time. They have no major. They're saying that clearly the rookie. I think it's Patman is his name, his last name. Yeah. He's going to get some targets, some work, but rookies take a little while for first year, and we know Phillip Rivers loves a tight end. They normally get roughly between 6 to 8 targets a game. Yeah. We saw with Hunter Henry last year, so I think Jack Doyle and get him for free, and I think he will be a great value on the team. And Phillip Rivers with Gates, he's always been really good with the tight end. So.
Even with Hunter Henry and in Frank Reich's system. They do target the tight end a ton, and I mean Jack Doyle can block too. So he's gonna be on the field all the time, and that's what you want with your tight end. You basically want opportunity and snap count like to be high. So, because I mean, like guys like Eric Ebron, who's not a good blocker, he would be taken off the field sometimes for Jack Doyle. You know what I mean? Like in certain situations. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I got one. I'm gonna go with my man Jonnu Smith. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Jonnu Smith. Yeah, man, I can't remember Walker's first name. But anyways, Delaney. There you go, Delaney Walker. Delaney Walker, he's gone, and when he was finally gone last season, we really got to see Jonnu Smith, come into his own because Jonnu Smith is. I compare him like his skill set reminds me a lot about Jordan Reed back in the days. You know what I mean? They're not.
He's explosive. I didn't know how explosive he was after catching the ball.
Yeah, dude.
He's explosive, but he's a really good talent. So I was very impressed with him last year.
Yeah,
his targets should go up.
And it's the same thing too. It's like they don't. I'm not knocking Corey Davis, but I mean obviously AJ Brown's their number one option in the passing game, and then I would say number 2 would probably be Jonnu Smith. You know what I mean?
Corey Davis hasn't showed up yet.
I know. I was such a Corey Davis truther. I love him as a talent, but he just didn't. They never utilized him correctly.
Yeah, they haven't. More of a system than anything. They like to run the ball like that anyway. So I think definitely the tight end. Delaney Walker has always been a big part of the offense, and I feel like it's going to be the same with Jonnu Smith. Though.
Yeah, another honorable mention would be Hayden Hurst, but I mean, I feel like by the time we get closer to the season, he's gonna be. He might even get into the overdrafted territory. Like if he starts going in the 6th round, I'm like, whoa, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Because I love him. At the back of the mid rounds. Like, you know what I mean? If he could stay there, I'm gonna have a ton of him. You know what I mean? And then which goes into my next one, I'll segue to the QB position. I love me some Matt Ryan this year. You know what I mean? Like Matt Ryan is going like in the 8th, 9th round. You know what I mean? And if I'm in a single QB league, I'd rather wait. And that's probably the highest I would go. You know what I'm saying? And if he was gone, I would probably fall off and wait, and I'd probably get like a Drew Lock or a Danny Dimes or even someone who I'm super crazy on is my man Gardner Minshew, the Ginsu. You know
I mean, they think about it. So quarterback is all about opportunity. So Gardner Minshew, secondary is terrible. They got rid of both their top corners. So they're going to be trying to score a ton. So yeah, he has the weapons. He has the wide receiver one already. He has some good corner. He has a good.
Have you ever looked at his numbers last year? He had in only 12 starts, 3,200 passing yards, 21 touchdowns. He had 0 rushing touchdowns, but he had like 340 rushing yards. And like if you were to put him on a 16 game pace, he would have had 4,200 yards passing. 29 touchdowns, 500 something rushing yards. Like he was, even though 340 yards on the ground, that made him like 5th at the QB position. 5th overall at rushing the ball. You know what I'm saying? As a key, and
he had a good year. That's why they got rid of Nick Foles. They're saying we have our quarterback.
Yeah, I love the Ginsu. I almost would like even in mock drafts. It's like, you know what I mean? I end up a lot with Minshew like as like my last pick because no one cares for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and like,
they don't. Yeah.
And here's the thing too is like they brought over Jay Gruden, and Jay Gruden, when he the 3 years with Kirk Cousins, he had he averaged about 45,000 passing yards. Kirk Cousins, he what I'm saying, he even had a year where he had 49, just shy of 5,000 yards passing. I'm not saying Minshew's gonna have 5,000 yards, but 4,200 I can see that at least. And
like their defense is going to be bad.
It's going to be really bad. And think about this. Kirk Cousins, in those 3 years, he had 4 rushing touchdowns, 5 rushing touchdowns, and then 4 again. So he averaged 4 rushing touchdowns. And like Minshew's already a guy who rushes the ball. They're going to call his name on the goal line here and there. You know what I mean? I could see it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think Minshew, he's a good value, honestly. He's going free, like I said. And also after, you said Matt Ryan, there's some other players that's like right there in this same tier. Like I mentioned, Matthew Stafford usually goes right for in the 10th round. He's too.
I love that Stafford call, because and it's the same thing too, man. That I don't really believe Barracuda. What's his name? Cuda the Barracuda. I don't think he's gonna come through and turn that whole secondary around by himself.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a while. I mean, with Ricky's, they're gonna take a little bit of time. I think he's a good talent, but it's gonna take a little while before he can actually translate right on the field.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's going to be hard. So I think, even with the Detroit Lions, their defense is going to be bad again, so they're going to have to score a ton of points. And like I said, Matthew Stafford has extremely good weapons, right? So, he already has, Galladay on one side. He has
Marvin Jones.
Yeah, Marvin Jones. He has great slot corner.
T.J. Hawkinson.
So they have a balanced team, so I feel like
And DeAndre Swift is great in the passing game, too. And
yeah, he does.
And even if he comes on slow, like these rookies probably are, I mean, Kerryon Johnson he got hands too. He's not like don't.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Yeah. But the quarterback that I have written down is going to be Cam. He's going in the 10th round right now. I hope his ADP doesn't rise that much. But what people don't realize, like Tom Brady had a bad year last year. He finished as QB 12. So. And that's without running at all. So, Cam, even though people don't realize, like I said, he was hurt last year, he's fully recovered. I don't think the Patriots would sign him if they didn't think he was 100%. He passed physical. So, I think, he would definitely do pretty good. And then every year that Cam played a full 16 game, he's finished top 4 in fantasy.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's finished top 4, but I see him definitely finishing in the top 12.
I agree. He's definitely a back-end QB1 for sure. I think that's his floor. And I can remember going all the way back to the Broncos with when Josh McDaniels was the head coach, and he had Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow, yeah.
So there's a mobile. Tim Tebow is essentially a fullback that was a signal caller. You know what I mean? Like he was.
Cam got an arm, so that's
exactly. Yeah. Like Cam got an arm. There's a mobile playbook there in New England. Plus, Bill Belichick has extreme respect for Cam Newton because that's one of the only quarterbacks that Bill Belichick has never defeated. They've played each other twice only in their career, and both times he waxed them. You know what I mean? And then I mean, you look at all the teams that were beating up the Patriots last year. It was the Chiefs. It was the Texans, the Ravens. All mobile QBs. Even over the years, Russell Wilson always tears them up. You know what I mean? Like he's essentially fighting fire with fire. You know what I mean? He's like, listen, I gotta get me one of these.
It's scary to have him on that team. It's scary. I'm like, man.
Yeah, because it's like we might, and listen, I'm not a Patriot hater, but it's like, man, there they go again doing Patriot things. Like they're gonna be in it. You know what I mean? Like as much as
they always find somebody.
Right? And they got Cam. I'm like, I blame the rest of the league. It's their fault. All you motherfuckers out there, all you other teams that didn't look at Cam, you guys are just like, go ahead, Patriots. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the Patriots got him on a Patriots type of deal. What is it, like $1 million?
No, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. And he's gonna start.
Like the steal.
Yeah,
that's
bro.
a major
super steal. Yeah, and so now we'll go on to this next topic because one thing I enjoy about your page is that you, like I said, great minds think alike, man. Because a lot of people don't look into this type of stuff, but I definitely do. Like I look in strength of schedule. I look at hard schedules, and I like to it helps me diagnose players. Like say if I'm in a position, like if I'm in a point in the draft and I'm like this guy or this guy, I might choose the guy that has a better strength of schedule. You know what I mean? Just because if I'm torn, you know what I mean? I want to. It could be the deciding factor. You know what I mean? So let's start off with the strength of schedule. Go ahead and give me a team, or we'll touch on this a little bit. Maybe we'll highlight a couple teams. But go ahead and give me one team that has a really nice schedule that's really like fantasy friendly.
So for a nice schedule, I'll start off with the Saints. So both the Saints and also the Lions. But for the Saints. Yeah, they both have really great matchups. I'm gonna break down the full, like all the games.
Yeah, you don't got we don't gotta break down each game. Yeah, but definitely because one thing, Playmakers, you definitely want to start out the gate on fire. You know what I mean? Like it's
yes, I agree.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And like sometimes, and that's where this is important when you look at the first stretch. You know what I mean? Because by the time we get to December. Schedule. Certain teams they could have a different identity. Like you know what I mean. Like they can maybe improve or like look at that Atlanta Falcons last year. Trash on defense. They got to one point in the year they were a top 12. You know what I mean. They went from the bottom to the top. You know what I mean. Like the bottom 12 to the top 12, and so you can't always really diagnose it from the beginning. But yes, looking at the Lions schedule, looking at
the They start off with they got the Bucks. We already said secondary is not good for the Bucks.
Yeah.
Then they got the Raiders, which is not a good secondary again.
Yeah.
Packers, and then they got the Lions. So the first 4 weeks, Drew Brees, he's going to get off. He's going to throw a ton of touchdowns. Michael Thomas, all these players are going to have a really good. They have a great start of the season. Overall, just looking at their whole 16 weeks, they only got 3 hard matchups for the whole season that I can see. And they face the Chargers, who got the number 1 secondary, in my opinion. That's between week 5 and 9.
Yeah.
Then they got the 49ers between week 10 and 13, who has a tough secondary.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people realize the Chiefs secondary is pretty good. They finished top 10 last year. However, we know Drew Brees, anytime he's going to be a shootout, Drew Brees will still score points. So,
oh, yeah. Yeah, so we like that.
I still don't really see that being a tough matchup for him. Just mainly the reason why the people realize the Chargers is a tough matchup is because the Chargers, they have a good secondary, but their run defense is not that good.
Well,
so
they did draft Kenneth Murray, and he's a great.
Yeah, they made some moves this year.
Yeah, for sure. But yes, I totally agree. I mean, Denzel Perryman, that's who I mentioned earlier. He was their best. He was their best run stopper, and he's trash. You know what I mean? Because if you think about it too, that it's a Gus Bradley system. They run a lot of cover 3. So and so their secondary is the secondary and then the pass rush. That's what a cover 3 is all about. So you got Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa up front, wreaking havoc, and then you got now you got Chris Harris Jr. to go along with Casey Hayward, and you got Derwin James, that fucking probably my favorite safety in the game, right, besides Jamal Adams. You know what I mean? But so it's the way you used to beat the Chargers is you just run the ball on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was the formula. So that's why a lot of teams, quarterbacks, and that's why a lot of people don't realize, they'll say, oh, the Chargers, they have a good secondary, but like I said, they run the ball against them. So a lot of times those are not the best matchup for QBs or receivers because like I said, the coach, at the end of the day, people realize that your NFL teams, they don't care about your fantasy. They want to win the game.
Yeah.
So whatever's the easiest strategy, then that's what they're going to go with to win. So that's the main formula.
Yeah, no, you ain't lying. Hey, Playmakers, they really don't give a fuck about our fantasy teams, though.
Okay. You see, they be taking players out. They don't care.
I got one. So right out the gate, I actually love the Chargers schedule.
Okay, gotcha.
You know what I mean? Because I think their first stretch of games is against non-playoff teams. So it's I really love that. I've been finding myself with a lot of Chargers DST, just because I usually stream defenses, but of course. Too. But see, I'm gonna come to a point where I'm gonna end up dropping the Chargers defense and stream. But I love having the Chargers defense for that first stretch of the year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, their defense is really good, and they, like I said, they got you mentioned Ingram. They got a great defensive line, and they got a great secondary. So they have an easy matchups. That's how they're gonna look to win the game because they're gonna try to protect their quarterback at the beginning. They got Tyrod, or they'll have the rookie there. Yeah. They're gonna try to have their defense win the game and run the ball. So I agree with that.
It's true. And then another team is I know you. When me and you were going back and forth, you had mentioned that you used to be a Colts fan, and I actually. When it comes to the Colts schedule, it's kind of friendly, man. I love targeting, T.Y. Hilton because he has extreme value, and I've been looking a lot at Jonathan Taylor. Even though he's a third rounder, you know what I'm saying? I feel like, bro, not only are they the best line in the game,
it's number 1.
When you look at their schedule, because I know you mentioned Nyheim Hines, right? But Frank Reich. He's like a game script dependent guy. So if they're losing, you're gonna see a lot of Nyheim Hines. But when you look at their schedule, they might be winning a lot of these games, and they're gonna be eating. They're gonna be running that rock. So I mean, I love and their schedule against the run. I mean, the run defenses that they're gonna play, they have the best schedule, bro. It's so friendly for running backs. If you take a hard look at their schedule, all those defenses that they're playing have poor run defenses. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, with the Colts, I like their matchups as well. I'm looking at it now; they do have some great matchups. So even with Taylor, yes, he's a high draft capital, but like I said, I don't mind reaching a little bit for him because I know they spent the high draft capital for the Colts.
Yeah, so they want to get him. And he's a great
ball.
Pass protector too. Coming out of college, he was a 3-down back. Marlon Mack, not so great. You know what I mean? Not a good pass, not good in pass protection. Yeah, and I mean, Yeah, so I actually think, like, yes, they did say they're going to be a 1-2 punch, but I still think Taylor, and with Taylor, we only need like 15 carries a game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think he'll get that. Maybe not right out the gate, but he will be a double-digit touch guy right out the gate. Maybe if they start him off slow with 10 or 11 carries, but he's going to eventually supersede, Marlon Mack. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. I think he's going to supersede. And also, people don't realize the Colts defense is actually good against the run. So they was actually able to hold teams. In the past, their defense used to be terrible, and they'll be in a lot of shootouts. But last year, look what they did to the Chiefs last year. They were able to beat the Chiefs and shut them down based on their defense. So their defense is, very good. And now they got Phillip Rivers that's going to try to manage the game as well. So I do like the running backs for the Colts.
Yeah. Okay, man. Well, so we're starting to wind this thing down, and we're going to go at the teams that have like hard schedules. You know what I mean? And so one of them I'll point out is the Giants, bro. Like the Giants
schedule at the beginning of the season. My goodness.
Yeah, and then I love Danny Dimes. I could see myself picking him up, maybe streaming him, later in the year. Later in the year, though, you know what I mean?
Because he came off the waiver wire after week 4 because they don't get dropped.
For real though, like their schedule is terrible in the beginning of the year.
Oh, so one person too, I'm gonna tell people. Like, if you're in a league, like, if you draft Saquon or someone drafts Saquon and you can tell at the week 4 the player is...
pound those trade offers.
Try to trade for him because his schedule is super tough at the beginning of the season. It's really tough.
Yeah, and, people do love to panic trade. You know what I mean?
Yes,
so, yes, the Playmakers, this is accurate. This is why I bring on my man, Fantasy Football Fit, because he's bringing you that real... He's bringing you that real... that real game, you know what I'm saying, to make sure your fantasy game is fit, you know what I mean? Yeah.
But yeah, definitely Saquon is going to start out a little shaky. But like I said, after those first 4 weeks, the schedule opens up a lot. It's a lot easier. But those first 4 weeks, they face the top. All 4 matchups are top defense against in the past.
Man, I hope they don't destroy Danny Dimes, dude. You feel me? Like he's playing against like some of the most active front sevens that first 4 weeks. Like he's gonna get beat up behind that bad line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is. It's gonna be a struggle, but
yeah,
we'll see.
But yeah, I got another one. Buffalo's schedule is kind of tough too.
I was just about to say that Buffalo Bills, man.
And I love Josh Allen.
Owners. Be wary, big owners. He's gonna have a tough one starting off this season.
Even just going against Stephon Gilmore twice a year, going up against Xavier Howard twice a year. Like,
oh my God,
man, that's
looking at the schedule now. He has 7 tough matchups he faces.
I don't think I'm gonna have any Diggs this year, just because of that.
No.
Like that's 7.
People don't realize too. Diggs is a good receiver, but he's always had another great receiver on the other side.
Yeah, taking attention away.
Yeah, so we'll see. And then also with the Bills, they don't throw the ball as much. So that's another reason why I'm not big on Diggs this year. He's going to get the number 1 corner, and they don't throw the ball that much. So, but yeah, I agree with the schedule.
You know what I call Josh Allen? I call him the white Cam Newton because
he's good. Yeah,
because if you think about it, what is Cam Newton? He has a big arm. He's wildly inaccurate, and he loves to call his own number on short yardage situations, goal line situations. That's exactly what Josh Allen does. So I call him the white Cam Newton. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So Josh Allen, his schedule. I'm a little worried. We'll see. I think he's a little more accurate than Josh Allen, but no, I agree. Yeah,
no, for sure he's more accurate. He's way more accurate than a Josh Allen. It is going to be
run the ball and everything.
I am excited to see the white Cam Newton versus Cam Newton, twice a year though. That's going to be fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, actually, I'm happy New England made that trade because at first I was like, man, the Chiefs have the easiest schedule going forward.
They really do.
Don't have any top players, but now they got Cam, so I think it's gonna be a good season.
Yeah, man, because bro, the Chiefs, and look at the division the Chiefs are in. It's like, man, they're punching. You could basically punch their ticket into the dance already.
Yeah, guaranteed they're getting it. Yeah. I mean, who they facing is going to be a tough challenge for them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you got any other teams that we should be wary of the schedule?
Let me see.
Because I think we were on the same page. I think you definitely had the Giants and the Bills on your list for sure. I'm assuming.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing else is I got some Yeah, I mean, the only thing is just some of the running backs that have an easy start to the schedule. I kind of mentioned that before on my page, but Mark Ingram has a pretty easy start to the schedule. He faces the Browns first, the Texans, the Chiefs, and the Redskins. So he's someone too that is going to be going late in draft. He's going like the 6th or 7th round, where the rookies, like you mentioned earlier, they're not going to get the full workload at the beginning of the season. So he's going to get a lot of work. So I would definitely don't mind drafting him, because this beginning of the season is going to be really easy.
Yeah, and the fact that Lamar Jackson is he rushes the ball as well, so it definitely opens up lanes for the running back. You know what I mean? Because they're always going to be a spy. They're always going to drop a safety in the box to look out for Lamar Jackson, and and Mark Ingram.
They run the ball a ton in the Ravens. That's all they do. They run the ball. So
yeah, man, and that's another team too, man. It's like, damn, they have a really easy schedule. Like, just looking at it right now, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, Ravens have a too. That's why I'm like, should I go with the Lamar Jackson again?
Yeah, you're right. Maybe
looking good.
Yeah, you know what? I retract. We'll retract our statements on Lamar Jackson earlier. We'll have that stricken from the record. Okay,
no, I agree with that one.
Okay. Oh yeah, go ahead. Continue.
No, I was going to say the last person I thought that was going to have a great start of the season is going to be Jimmy G. He starts off the season with the Cardinals, the Jets, the Giants, and the Eagles.
I love that Jimmy G take.
I like that. And Gardner Minshew too has a great start of the schedule too. He got the Colts, the Titans, the Dolphins, and the Bengals. So that's another thing that you mentioned too. That's a really good start to the season. So.
Yeah, man. See, great value you brought to this episode, my brother. I knew it was going to be a good one.
All right, man. Appreciate you having me.
Man, I knew it was going to be a good one. So, okay, I got this one's off script. This was the last one, and we'll close this thing up. So, with the addition of the 7th seed in both conferences, right? So go ahead and give me a dark horse. Let's start with in the AFC. Who do you think is a shoo-in for that now that we have that extra spot? Or maybe not a shoo-in, but someone to keep your eyes on.
I'm not. It's a couple teams. So who do you think is going to be one for real? But I'm kind of. It's a toss-up right now.
To be honest, I think the Colts. I think the Colts are someone that people are sleeping on.
Yeah.
Because of their schedules. And then I will say the Broncos. The Broncos too.
Yeah, that is true. No, I agree. I think both of those options are good. Definitely with the Broncos, they went out and they got a good Melvin Gordon, a good running back, and they're going to just try to play defense and try to win from there. Got a quarterback. They got their receivers. So yeah, and then the Colts, they're just one quarterback away. We've seen it before with Andrew Luck. When they were there, they got to the playoffs.
I love Andrew Luck, bro. I hope
he comes back, and I hope he comes back.
I know, right? Remember when there was a vacancy, the Tom Brady vacancy? There was rumors that are like, oh, they're gonna try to get Andrew Luck out of retirement. And I was like,
the Patriots, I've been crazy.
I would have been pissed. I'm like, God damn it! I'm like, they're doing it again. Because Andrew Luck was my favorite quarterback when he was playing, bro. I loved Andrew Luck. Like he's just
really good.
And it's ironic that when he finally got that line that he needed so badly in his career, and he was just so beat up that he was just like, I'm done.
Yeah, he's like, he can't take it anymore. And kudos to him for making that decision, because a lot of players, they'll play through it and, get themselves hurt. It makes it, because at the end of the day, he has to live with his body, right? So yeah. I completely agree with him making that move. I feel like he is going to come back, but I don't know the time frame, but I think he probably will come back. He's young, so he can always come back in a couple of years, and teams will still sign him, and he'll do well again. So
yeah, and here's one thing, too, I will say about Andrew Luck, like, He's legit an architect that graduated from Stanford, so you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like he could have a career, like you know what I mean.
And he had a ton, because he said he didn't touch any of his money that he made from his sponsorships or anything. So
yeah, he got bread. He got a lot of bread, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, in the NFC, it's kind of chalk to say like the Cardinals. But I will say a dark horse that I kind of like. Who else do I kind of like the Bears? You know what I mean? I think that's. Yeah, if the Bears.
I think the Bears are a nice little sleeper in the NFC. And also, like you mentioned before, I think everyone's saying the Cardinals. But we have to see it first.
Yeah,
clearly
exactly.
With D-Hop in there and everything else, they do have some good options. But yeah, I think the Bears is good. We'll see. We'll see exactly how it's going to look. But
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, you know what? So here's the scenario, right? Like, we could see, like, say Trubisky starts out the gate, right? Say it's not Nick Foles. Trubisky, we've seen him have some good stretches. So maybe he has maybe they go 2-4. Then they bring in Nick Foles, and they go let's say 4-3, right? So now that's 7, 8, 9. So now that they're in the week 10, you know what I'm saying? And they're already above 500, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, all you need is, to be honest, you only need 9 to be 9-7 this year, and that can get you in to the dance.
Yeah, the division is not that strong, so.
Yeah, and if you think about this too, last year it would have been the Steelers and the Rams. Those would have been the 7 seeds if they had it last year, and both those teams were 9-7. So it's going to be interesting.
The Steelers are a good sleeper too because now Big Ben is back, so they got their defense that's legit. It is just more of just having a quarterback that do okay. Big Ben, the first time that he's going to have a team where their defense is
very true,
more believable. He hadn't been in the past, but the last couple of seasons he hasn't had a really good defense. So.
One of my I don't think I got to mention an undervalued receiver, and so I will say Terry McLaurin, right? I forgot.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I forgot to mention him earlier. But also undervalued at running back, an honorable mention is James Conner, dude.
Oh yes,
he's bad. He's a bad motherfucker. He just gets hurt. He gets hurt.
But we know with the Pittsburgh Steelers system, they're going to give him the number. They don't even use one running back. That's what Tomlin does his whole career. So if and they didn't draft any running back either. So that tells me.
Well, they actually did. They actually did. His name.
But that was late. It was like the 5th round.
Yeah, but still, though, I think he'll immediately be the number 2. So if you have James Conner, go ahead and I'm not mad. I'll handcuff McFadden. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would. And James Conner right now, he's going in the 3rd round, back in the 3rd.
No, he's like in the 4th.
One value, so I agree.
He's in the early 4th even sometimes. So it's like I love that. You know what I mean?
It's crazy how late he's going, and a lot of people they're just frustrated with him last year because they spent the high draft capital on him. But now in the 3rd round, you can get him as a running back 2 and not have to worry. And if he's healthy, then you're fine for the whole season. That's honestly, I think he's a great value pick. He's someone I'm not afraid to draft. Also, Gurley too is another good pick too. Someone that I feel like good,
that 3rd round, that round 3 running back crop is pretty crazy. It's like Todd Gurley's there, Todd Gurley, Chris Carson, Leonard Fournette. It's crazy that the disrespect that they're giving. That you know what I mean? I love it though. Let's be clear. I love that. You know what I mean? Let's.
Yeah, I'll take him. I'll take all men around, and then people just holding out will just be disappointed. But I'll take him definitely.
You see how crazy Todd Gurley's the lineup he's on, bro? You got Julio, Calvin, Hayden Hurst.
Todd Gurley. This is the best offense he's been. People don't realize anytime you have Julio Jones on one side, that's the best receiver you probably play with, and then you got Ridley on the other side,
who's also phenomenal.
Matt Ryland too. So.
Yeah, man. He's going to see a high percentage of 6-man boxes, religiously. You know what I mean? And, I used to argue with people and be like, well, Dirk Cutter's system, I mean, what running back have we seen shine in a Dirk Cutter system? But at the same time, he's never had a running back this talented. So
yeah, that's true. And even last year with Devontae Freeman, him being out, he still got 80-some targets. So if he's getting, that's the one thing about Todd Gurley. When he gets to the red zone, he scores touchdowns. He's always been a good red zone running back. And if he's gonna get 80 targets, last year he finished as a running back 1.
Yeah,
people
sure
were
did.
disappointed with him last year. So
and they shouldn't have been. They shouldn't have been mad him being a 3rd round value. Come on, you were getting him in the 3rd round. You know what I mean?
Still, so I'm fine with him. If I'm getting a running back 1 in the 3rd round, I'll take it. And then this year, I feel like his passing yards are going to go up. That's the reason why he wasn't a high-end running back 1 because he wasn't getting that much targets. But this year with Atlanta, they signed a 1-year deal, so there's no reason for them to try to, keep him and try to, preserve his body. They can just cut him at the end of the season. So,
well, if you think about it too, the crop of running backs we just listed, the Leonard Fournettes, the Chris Carsons, the Todd Gurleys of the world, James Conner's, they're probably in this range because of people scared of their injury history. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah, but listen, you don't win championships by playing scared. You know what I mean? You hear me, playmakers? You got balls out, balls to the wall, cutthroat. You feel me? But yeah, my brother, man, thanks again, man. This was epic. You know what I mean? Go ahead before we close this
Thank
thing
you
out.
for having me.
Oh man, anytime, bro. I'm glad that we finally got to get this first one out of the way because I definitely want to bring you back. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, definitely. Just let me know. We can definitely do this again, man. I had a great time.
Because man, you definitely speak the language. You know what I mean? You're not a hack out here. Like there's a lot of hacks. You know what I mean? There definitely is though. You know what I mean? Like it's. I'm pretty sure once you start it up, you realize how many fantasy pages are out there. Like there's just a million of them. You know what I mean? And like.
A lot. So definitely a lot. I was surprised. I didn't actually think it was gonna be that many because I didn't really know. But when I started,
Me neither. I was the same way. I was like, yo, I was like, you know, I love to drink and smoke and like, you know, that's part of my personality. I'm outgoing, like, and I was like, there's gonna be no one like me in the industry, and then like, bro, there's a million motherfuckers like me in the industry. Like, you know what I'm saying?
But it's a lot of pages. But I mean, at the end of the day, you know, the cream rises to the top. So you know, that's why you're one of the top ones out here, which is great. So
man, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, man. You know what I'm saying? And you're definitely someone that if I can contribute in any way, like to help, you know, people get more attention towards you, like that's what I'm here for. That's what the GMM Network's about. You know, I love showcasing like people that are really awesome when it comes to this fantasy shit. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, there's a lot of hacks. You know what I mean? I mean, and I will say this: one of the biggest hacks in the world is the fantasy counselor, and he's one of the biggest names being a hack. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of funny, but still though, Playmakers, all you're gonna get over here from the real fantasy Playmakers, right here on the GMM Network. We're only gonna bring in guys that really speak the language, and my man Fit right here, he's definitely one of them. Thanks again, man, and let them know one more time where they can find you.
Yeah, so for anything fantasy football, it's going to be Fantasy Football Fit on Instagram. Like I said, I do personal training and things like that. So that's Kenny King Fitness. That's my personal page. So follow me on both. Hope you guys have a great one. Thanks for having me again, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, anytime, bro. Thank you. And I'll see you out there in the Instagram world. You know what I mean?
All right, man. Have a good one.
Yep, you too. Be safe.
Peace.
And that was my man, Fantasy Football Fit.